All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, this is truly a tremendous time to be a professional sports fan in the Pacific Northwest. We just saw the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl 2 days ago, 2 nights ago, rather, for the second time in franchise history. Last October, the Seattle Mariners fell just a game short of getting to the World Series for the first time in franchise history. And I guarantee you that there's plenty of anticipation for another MLB season for the M's, with pitchers and catchers set to report for spring training. And here at the National Hockey League's Olympic break, the Seattle Kraken are currently in possession of a playoff spot in the Western Conference as they are in third place in the Pacific Division. And the only thing that is missing from that conversation is basketball. But that might not be the case for that much longer. So it's been 18 long years since the Supersonics left Seattle to become the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm sure that it's been 18 years too long for the basketball fans in that region as they just watched the Thunder last June win the NBA championship for the first time since they were the Sonics back in 1979. But that talk of Seattle no longer having an NBA franchise might soon be a thing of the past, my friends, as the league is set to vote on expansion this summer. And reports are that the two most likeliest cities to be granted new NBA franchises would be Seattle and Las Vegas. Sackfly, what's going on, man? Check on the video title, man. Definitely will, man. It's I'll definitely adjust that once we get out of here, man. Thanks for the heads up, man. Um, but yeah, man, I think it's been far too long that we have not seen um, the NBA back in the great city of Seattle. Seattle is too big of a city, and it has too big of a media market to be without an NBA franchise for as long as they have been. The Sonics, when you think about it, were one of the most popular NBA franchises, but they got caught up in the political backwash, if you will, of a team owner wanting a new arena. And then, of course, being hell bent on getting what he wanted and being willing to move his franchise until he got what he wanted. If the NBA is truly ready to bring back the Sonics, this will be monumental because there are some basketball fans out there who don't know how much that this team was loved in that city. You think about the Gary Payton, Sean Kemp combo for the Sonics back in the 90s. I mean, they helped Seattle get to the NBA Finals in 1996. That era of Supersonics basketball was always must see TV. Okay. You think about some of the other great players over the years, and please forgive me for the ones that I might have forgotten um, that played for the Sonics. You think about the likes of Gus Williams. You think about the likes of Slick Watts, Downtown Freddie Brown, Jack Sikma, Dale Ellis, and Tom Chambers, just to name a few. You think about the rivalries that the Supersonics had in the Western Conference with the likes of the Portland Trailblazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and then, of course, the Houston Rockets. So, like I've said before, Seattle is a great sports city, and they're about to show up and show out for the championship parade for the Seahawks in a matter of hours. But nonetheless, Seattle also has a rich basketball history. And honestly, you cannot tell the history of the NBA without talking about the Supersonics and the city of Seattle. Seattle has produced some great basketball players over the years as well. So also, like in part of this equation is Las Vegas, because you know going to Vegas for the NBA would mean that all four professional sports leagues in the United States would then be operating in the desert, which is ironic because these leagues frowned on Vegas for so many years. And now, once the Golden Knights started to have success there, it's like, you know what? We can do it too. So, with that said, okay, with expansion most likely a done deal for the NBA this summer, you have to also wonder if realignment would be on the table because clearly you'd be at 32 teams, but then you're not going to put the Sonics in the East. You're not going to put the Vegas team in the East either. So, which team would the NBA shift from the Western Conference to give them 16 teams in the East and 16 teams in the West? If I were a betting man, I would think it would be the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay, my personal opinion. Or would the NBA be looking to shift another franchise? We got to wait and see. So, will Adam Silver, the NBA's commissioner, and the league's board of governors give the folks in the Pacific Northwest what they have been begging for far too long? I hope so, because the city of Seattle was basically left high and dry 18 years ago when the Sonics moved to Oklahoma City. If you're the NBA, you cannot tease these people and leave them at the altar right now. If the Sonics were to return to the NBA, I would imagine that they would play in Climate Pledge Arena. And of course, they would share that with the Kraken. And of course, when that arena was built, it was built with the mindset of, you know what, being able to have an NBA franchise there. We've seen the Los Angeles Clippers play a couple of exhibition games there. They've been well received by the folks in the Seattle area. And I guarantee you, I cannot say this enough, Seattle would go crazy if the NBA returns there. You look at it, and getting back to the Vegas aspect, the potential for the NBA to have success there. Well, I'll tell you like this, it would take time to build a franchise as far as building a fan base there, but people would definitely show up to see a Vegas team. Make no mistake about it. We've seen the support that the Golden Knights have gotten in the NHL. The Raiders really have not gotten that support yet in the NFL because the Raiders don't have a quality product that they're putting out there on the field. We don't know what it's going to look like for the A's in Vegas with Major League Baseball. I think a Vegas NBA franchise could have success because, like the Golden Knights in the NHL, you're setting up an expansion team right there. The NFL, I think, tried to force the Raiders into Vegas. It's not working for the Raiders, at least right now. And I think the same is going to be said with the Athletics whenever they decide to open up shop there. But nonetheless, I think there is potential success for an NBA franchise there. The potential for an NBA franchise to have success once again in Seattle, I think honestly, as soon as the announcement is made, that would be the first building block. You would get so much support for that team. Okay, even if the expansion Sonics were to only win 10 games in their first season, you'd probably still have a sellout each and every night at Climate Pledge Arena. This is how passionate that this city is, and I think they are ready, and they have been ready for far too long to once again see NBA basketball. You got to wonder, would NBA Commissioner Adam Silver be a hero for making it happen? Well, yes and no, because his boss was at the helm, the late David Stern, when the Sonics left Seattle to begin with. And like I said, this has been tossed around for far too long. The NBA should have done a much better job and should have been much more proactive on getting a franchise back within the city of Seattle. I think about it in the same aspect of when the original Cleveland Browns left to become the Baltimore Ravens in 1996. By 1999, there was once again an NFL franchise within the city of Cleveland. I think that the NBA should have been more proactive, like I said, and it should not have taken this long for the Sonics to return. Because again, once the announcement is made this summer and it's official, and it seems like, okay, don't want to jump the shark too much, but it seems like we're heading in that direction. It's probably going to be a little bit more than 2 decades before we see, as far as the gap from when the original Sonics left to when the new Sonics would set up shop once again. But nonetheless, this is heading in the right direction. We're almost at the finish line, and we'll find out for sure this summer. I would imagine when the new league year begins within the NBA. But things are looking up for the city of Seattle. Like I said, the Emerald City has been without an NBA franchise for far too long. Maybe they will get their wishes to come true this summer. And like I said, if there was ever a city out there, in my opinion, that is deserving to have an NBA franchise once again, it's Seattle. So let's see if the NBA is going to go out there and make it happen. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. DJ Sackfly, my man, always appreciate the support, always appreciate the love. And since you're the DJ in this aspect and you've done some music stuff for me in the past as well, definitely feel free to drop your Instagram handle in there to let the people know where they can find you at, or any other social media handle for what it's worth. Also, if you're on the X, everybody, formerly known as Twitter, definitely feel free to check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it'll be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.